Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to GGF's Future Leaders second webinar. The discussion topic tonight is climate resilience, reimagine a sustainable future. Whether you're a student who is here to learn more from industry experts and innovators, or you're a business leader who wishes to get inspired, we are excited to have you here with us and hope that this is an enriching experience for you. To get the ball rolling, I would like to provide a brief introduction of the event. This webinar is the second iteration of our webinar series and is organized with the support of our partners, including City Developments Limited, Green is the New Black, Friends of the Earth, We Got This, and many others. We have invited many distinguished speakers to provide their insights on the topic, and with the help of our moderators, questions will be posed to them for a deeper understanding of the topic. Thus, I encourage everyone to participate in this webinar actively and post any burning questions that they have to the speakers. Let's make this as interactive and informative as possible together. I would now like to welcome Christina Lee, the founder and CEO of GGF and Global Green Connect, to kickstart this event with her welcome remarks.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sadia. It's always nice to see young people like Sadia. I mean, like we are young, she's younger, to host webinar like this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in from all different parts of Asia. I know there are audience tuning in from China, from Japan, from Indonesia, from Thailand and Hong Kong and Singapore. Thank you so much for joining us. I think we are all in a very challenging time now. There's no short of bad news in that it surrounded us every day. But I hope that you will get inspired when you come to after the webinar and listening to all the inspired speakers to share their sustainability journey. So maybe I can kickstart by sharing what have been happened, since last time that we had the webinar. Some of you probably have joined us for the SDG Open Hack, and I'm very pleased to say that we are seeing some of the winning team and the young people that they embark their sustainability journey. One of the winning team has already presented their case during this World City Summit, the innovative solution, and one of the team is now taking the summer program with University of Geneva. And the other team is working with us very closely to incubate their innovative idea to impart their startup journey. So I think, all these young people that they have come together, not only looking at the problems, but they also identify the innovative solutions to tackle whether it's social or environmental issues. That I think it really gives us a hope and also, to reimagine our sustainable future together. So tonight, as we put together this program, I was thinking, what would be inspiring, for the audience. So for the first panel, we are very pleased to have speakers to talk about the future of the city, the future of tourism, and even future of food. I think these are all the areas that we have concern, and we are also very interested to find out what's next. So I think all these speakers will hopefully bring you some inspiration, and these are expert in the field. So these are not only ideas, but they're all practicing it and bringing it into the marketplace. And then the second panel, we are going to have winning teams from the SDG Open Hack Singapore. Some of the students, they're going to share the innovative ideas with us. And also, we are very pleased to bring on a young professional who is making impact in her job, but also she's embarking a new initiative to ally all the young people globally to embark a sustainability journey. So we're going to hear from all of these speakers, and hopefully you all will enjoy the webinar as well as get inspired as well. Before we start, I think we're going to do a polling, and we're going to get some feedback from you all and see where we stand. So should we go for the first polling questions? Okay, so you can vote. Do you think it's possible for us to build a sustainable future in the post-COVID era? Yes or no? And the number 2 question is, what do you think is the biggest threat caused by climate change to us in Asia? Rising sea level, water shortage, or food safety? You can put in your vote, and we're going to see the result. Wow, that's give us a lot of hope. That looks like we have a lot of eco warriors here that ready to build a sustainable future. 96%, hooray! Okay, we are not going to talk about the threat, but we are going to look at the solutions through from all of our speakers. Okay, I'll hand over back to you, Sadia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina, for your welcome remarks and for setting the tone for this webinar. Indeed, we have many innovative and talented individuals who speak to us later, and I'm heartened to know that our participants are optimistic and passionate about sustainability. I would now like to welcome Esther An, the Chief Sustainability Officer of City Developments Limited, to provide us with her opening remarks for this event.
Hello, hi, thank you, Sadia, and thank you for having me, Christina. And well, definitely, I won't take up too much of your time, but CDL has been a very active supporter of youth engagement and also sustainable innovation. And well, we have been working with GGEF, and Christina has been a great partner to work on innovations and collaborations that can tap into the youth, for the power of the young people, whether it is our E-Generation Challenge or the Open Hack, and also that we have set up a space, that the GGF is running it. It's called Incubator for SDGs. It's a rent-free space that provided by CDLs for selective startups that who are not just creating for profits, but creating for good as well. And while we are very happy to be part of the Open Hack, and we sponsor one panel that features 7 local-based innovators. And guess what? That panel actually attracted the highest attendance amongst all the sessions at the summit. So that actually proves that the audience, comprising like mayors and the government officials, investors from all over the world, they are very happy to hear and see new innovations from young people like you. So I am looking forward to listening to more, young change makers, and also some of the familiar names here. And of course, Stephanie has been a long-time partner as well. And we are looking forward to see more young startup and innovator to build a sustainable future that we want. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Esther, for your speech. We're very thankful for your and CDL's active involvement in technology and innovation when it comes to sustainability. Let us now move into our first fireside chat session. It is my honor to invite these 4 individuals to have a fruitful discussion amongst themselves, as well as with our audience. I would like to invite the following panelists to get ready for the plenary session. Firstly, we have with us co-founder of Karana, Blair Crichton. Blair is passionate about revolutionizing the global food system and is a committed environmentalist. This led him to launch Karana, a Singapore-based startup that offers minimally processed whole plant-based meat alternatives. Blair was born and raised in Hong Kong, which he still considers home, and is now currently based in Singapore. Next, we have with us the Vice President of AECOM, Sylvester Wong. Sylvester has designed and guided resilient and sustainable cities in Asia and around the world for over 23 years, and now guides AECOM's global drive to integrate resilient thinking into every project and colleague around the world. Last but not least, we have with us the co-founder of Earth Company, Tomohiro Hamakawa. Tomo is a seasoned development professional, having lived and worked in various corners of the world, from the Tibetan Plateau, Indian drylands, Indonesian tropics to Japanese metropolises. He has extensive field experience working for international and local development NGOs across Asia and Africa. The fireside chat will be moderated by founder of Green is the New Black, Stephanie Dixon. Green is the New Black launched Asia's first conscious festival, and Green is the New Black is a media platform that uses stories, curated experiences to advocate for social and behavioral change, and leads to little green steps with big impact. Stephanie is also the host of the Live Wide Awake podcast, which brings conversations to life at the intersections of consciousness and climate change, sustainability, and spirituality. Over to you now, Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be hosting. I think I need the organizers to put my video on, please. But I'm tuning in today from Thailand, and I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with some of these amazing innovators from around Asia. So we're going to dive right in because I want to give as much time as possible to the incredible panelists that we have today. So I'd love for each of you to start by sharing 1 minute, very short, but give us the highlights of what it is that you do and a little bit of your backstory. So Blair, let's start with you.
Hi everyone, yeah, nice to speak to you all this evening. So I'm Blair, I'm the co-founder of Karana. So we make whole plant-based meat. So what that means is rather than using heavily processed commodity crops, we are making our products using ingredients that are naturally meat-like and then finding ways to enhance them and improve them, but whilst retaining the entire plant, so the whole plant, to offer really a product that is minimally processed and with short ingredient lists. So we launched in Singapore earlier this year in January and then in Hong Kong in May. And yeah, we're looking forward to further expansion, and I'm really excited to share a bit of our journey and thoughts with you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Blair, for kicking us off tonight. And for anyone that hasn't tried it yet, you can try it if you're in Singapore and Hong Kong, and it's really delicious. So I definitely recommend you giving it a go. Sylvester, let's hear from you.
Hey, thanks, Stephanie. Evening, everyone. I'm Sylvester Wong. I'm actually sitting in Manila right now. I used to live in Hong Kong for a long time, and I help AECOM, which is this, kind of a slightly large engineering and consultancy firm, do a lot of sustainable work around Asia. Lots of things in Singapore, from transit to desal plants to all sorts of things. But besides designing cities, which I've been doing for a couple decades now, I've been really helping a lot of our sort of venture and startup ecosystem in fintech and climate tech and prop tech as well, because data is power, and that's how we're gonna be ready for the climate crisis. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely agree. Data is power. And I'm so curious to hear a little bit more about how you design cities. That sounds like such a fascinating job and title. Tomer, let's hear from you.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. And great to be on this session, Sylvester and Blair. My name is Tomo. I'm originally from Japan, but I've been in Bali for the last 7 years. My wife and I started a social enterprise called Earth Company. We do 3 things. One is to empower change makers in the Asia Pacific. We also deliver trainings for companies and schools. And the third thing is that we started an eco hotel in Bali called Mana Earthly Paradise. So happy to share some of our work in this fireside chat. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. So we're going to stay with you, Tomo. We're going to dive in with you first. So Earth Company has been working tirelessly to support unsung impact heroes, as you just alluded to. So can you share a little bit more about how their work can help to shape a sustainable future?
Great. Yeah, thank you. So Earth Company was really started to support amazing change makers in the Asia Pacific who are creating new paradigms in their own ways. And we've been selecting one person per year, and we support them for a 3-year period. And we basically do anything and everything for them. We go, we really go in deep and do and support them in a comprehensive way. And I can go on for hours about these amazing people, but one example is this woman, Bella Gallos from Timor-Leste, who will be running for presidency in the country. She is an environmental activist. She's also a member of the LGBTI community. And if someone like her becomes the head of state of a country like Timor, then we will really be changing the future of the country. And so these are the kinds of people that we're supporting through our Impact Heroes program, and really serve as source of hope as well as agents of change for the Asia Pacific.
Yeah, it's really incredible to hear. And I'm sure we can find a lot more on your website about the other people you're supporting around the region. But as you said, yeah, being able to give a support network to those types of profile of people is incredible. And that's where we really need to move forward so that we can actually have a much more hopeful and fruitful and supportive Asia, basically. So I'd also love to hone in a little bit on the second part of what you said that Earth Company does, and that's your eco hotel, Mana, which I've checked out. It looks incredible. I can't wait to be able to go to Bali soon and actually stay in the Eco Lodge. I mean, they just looked beautifully designed and so fascinating reading so much about it. But what do you think we're going to be seeing in the tourism industry now after COVID? You know, I mean, it's completely disrupted the entire industry. So what do you think we're going to see in the next maybe 18 to 24 months, and how is it also adjusting, or how are you adjusting your business model with Mana?
Yeah, great question. I think it's kind of $1 million question for the whole industry. But so we started Mana 6 months before COVID started. And that's the worst time to start any business, but especially a tourism business. And so we've been hit extremely hard by it. But we've managed to survive thus far, and hopefully a few more months until the borders open. But one really interesting piece of report came out last month by Booking.com, and I'll share these in the chat box because I think it really is telling of the future of the industry. So Booking.com conducted a survey involving like thousands of people. And they said that 83% of global travelers think sustainable travel is vital. 61% saying that pandemic has made them want to travel more sustainably in the future. And half, 49%, still believe that there aren't enough sustainable travel options available this year, right now, right? And so I definitely feel like the demand for sustainable tourism was there before COVID and is even stronger. And in short, people might travel less in the next couple of years, but people want to travel better. People want to travel more meaningfully. They're looking for stories. They're looking for impact. They're looking for authenticity. And I think, properties like us will hopefully be able to cater to that anticipated demand.
Yeah, that's really promising. Thank you for sharing. I think it's great to actually see the statistics and hear that this is where people want to see the future and that this is something that is actively on people's minds. So thank you so much for sharing. I think that's really helpful. Sylvester, let's pop over to you now. Could you share briefly about why and how AECOM is creating a sustainable legacy?
That's great. I mean, thanks, Stephanie. It's a good question. I mean, AECOM's been doing a lot of infrastructure all around the world for a long time. And actually, I don't know, a lot of people don't know that we're the #1 environment firm in the world as well. We've been doing a lot of cleanups, been helping to measure and monitor and do impact assessments and so forth. And I think a lot of clients these days, especially sort of with the ESG awakening and so forth, the big corporates like us have been tapping us on the shoulder recently and saying, well, you guys are doing a great job trying to, align and be future ready. Some of our groups have been carbon neutral for, a number of years. How do you do it? So we realize that it's not just about teaching others, big and small, how to be more resilient, how to have projects that are sustainable, but we can help the companies as well. So I think we've basically brought that to the surface and said that by anchoring big projects, I mean, look, designing cities has been something that I've done for a long time, and the core to cities are very much like what Tomo has said. It's the people, it's founders, it's entrepreneurs. They make a city. For thousands of years, they've been coming to cities for exactly that, the opportunity to uplift their communities and each other, right? And so the magic of infrastructure, both physical and digital infrastructure, is it continually creates that opportunity. And the trick is now, how do you do it responsibly, inclusively, in a smart way that's very sustainable. So as you know, we've recently sort of just brought that up to the surface, and we're ready to share our global experience with as many communities as possible to lift them up.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And I guess because you have so many touch points with both government and also, industry, and then I'm assuming from what you've just shared a little bit also with the SME level, what do you think we need to be focusing on now in order that we have a more sustainable future?
It's got to be champions. There are all sorts of new technologies and ways to design cities and infrastructure. But I think, I'm excited to be speaking with you tonight and sharing on this fireside chat with a lot of excited folks, because it's excited folks like ourselves here who get involved in these projects that are big, that used to be just, the domain of, it's closed doors, big governments, things like that. But, we all can make a change by being part of that. And I think that's the biggest thing that cities can. That's why when we work with Rockefeller and the 100 Resilient Cities program, our number one thing that we did with the 100 cities to coach them to have resilience for all the shocks and stresses of the world is to appoint a chief resilience officer. Again, it was people oriented, because once you have a champion that can take and own and inspire other ambassadors, that's what really creates lasting legacy, whether it's built or not.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. And we have, I would say, a bit of a champion on our panel tonight with Blair, who's championing for the food movement and the future of food and the future of plant-based meats, and innovating to what could be possible, but really building that up within Asia. So Blair, I'd love to hear a little bit about how do you think the plant-based and alternative food protein market is going? Do you think it's oversaturated right now? Are there lots of opportunities still? Would be great to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, thanks. I think the industry is going very well. I mean, it's seeing very strong growth rates and a lot of interest. I think globally, consumers are increasingly interested in more plant-forward diets. They're not necessarily becoming vegans, but they're certainly adopting a flexitarian diet, which is actively reducing the amount of meat they're eating. And I mean, we really need to do that if we are to live on this planet and have the population grow the way it is growing over the next 20 to 30 years. To answer your question, whether it's oversaturated, I would say no, definitely not at this point. It might seem like there's a lot happening and there's so many brands, but I mean, in reality, the plant-based meat market is still less than 1% of the meat market. So that tells you how much room there is for growth. We're really, there are competitive dynamics amongst plant-based food companies, but we're not competing with each other. We're competing with the meat industry, and we only have less than 1% market share at this point. So there's a lot of room to claim that market share and need for it as well. So I don't think it's oversaturated. And in fact, I think one of the barriers to people eating more plant-based food is availability of products and affordability of products. And until products are more available and more affordable, people won't be sort of making a more permanent change in their lifestyle. And so, at this point, there's still whole categories of products where you still can't easily get plant-based options, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think there's a tremendous amount of room for growth and adoption still.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of room for more innovators and entrepreneurs who want to start tackling this problem and basically answering some of the issues that you just raised. And so why did you guys decide to focus on jackfruit? And you launched earlier this year in January, so big congrats for that. And what's it been like? What's the reception been like since the launch?
Yeah. Thanks. So we're not a jackfruit company. I want to make that clear. I mean, we are a whole plant meat company. So jackfruit is the first ingredient and platform that we've brought to market. But we will in the future be bringing products to market that are used very interesting biodiverse regional ingredients. But why we started with jackfruit is because it is an amazing ingredient in more ways than one. So firstly, it is naturally very meat-like. It has a very fibrous texture. And for those who might be familiar with jackfruit in the sweet form, we're using unripe jackfruit. So it's before it's got all the flavors and sugars. And it's got this very fibrous texture that is kind of like a shredded pork. And it's being used, in many local cuisines around the region for a long time as a meat replacement. But what we found is the way it's being commercialized hasn't really met customer expectations around taste and experience, because the industrial processing that it goes through just kind of doesn't do justice to the amazing texture that it can have. So we've developed our own proprietary process that retains that whole plant nature, but does kind of present it in a format that has a great texture and is easy to use. So that's, first reason, it's very meaty. Secondly, it's very sustainable. So jackfruit is generally grown intercropped, which means it's grown with other crops rather than monocrop, which is generally the way that commodity crops are grown, which is better for soil health and overall environmental health. And it is also, drought resistant, doesn't need many inputs to grow. And finally, it's currently over 60% of jackfruit is going to waste. So we can help to reduce that waste and give additional income streams to farmers that typically grow it as a shade crop. So that's kind of why we started with jackfruit. And to your second part of the question around how it's been received, I mean, so far pretty well. Thank you for saying that it was delicious at the beginning of the panel, and I think that's generally been the feedback we've been getting. Even the skeptics amongst people that I've taken to try it, amongst my friends, have been pleasantly surprised about the experience. And a lot of chefs that we work with also really like the product because it's natural. It's they can understand where it comes from, and also it just enables them to create really interesting dishes.
Yeah, fantastic. And so would love to just remind everyone that if you have questions, please pop them in the chat box. I see that Robin's just asked a question. So Blair, I think it would be great if you can just reply in the chat box for that, because that's an easy answer. And please ask questions. We've definitely got some time for Q&A from our amazing panelists who are here. So please keep the questions coming, and I'll definitely ask as many as I can. Now, I'd love to hear from each of you what you're actually imagining or trying to reimagine for our future. And I'm thinking, maybe in the next 30 to 50 years, what do you think is possible? What hope do you have? What scares you? It's a really broad question, but this whole webinar today is about how we can reimagine the future. And I'd like to hear, like, in your personal fields and opinions, what that looks like in your view. So Sylvester, let's start with you.
Yeah, hey, I was listening to Blair and thinking that the meat industry, the sort of the traditional agri-tech industry, is such a huge user of land, and one of the big issues that we've got for all these demographically booming places all across Southeast Asia, right? I'm sitting in Manila. It's 20 million people. It's going to be 40 million in a couple decades. You're sitting in Singapore, which is importing so much of its water and relies on such a large network of supply chains to keep the city going. I feel one of the biggest things that's going to come to a head is this competition for responsible use of land, and we've got mangroves being decimated and forests being pulled down for agriculture, and at the same time, agriculture not being done in the sort of sustainable way that Blair's kind of world is actually helping with so much. That I think cities and communities all over the world will end up at this crisis, running out of water, running out of the right infrastructure to support opportunity for their families. You're going to be sitting in very exposed areas to severe storms and floods and extra action on the coastlines. You know, Singapore is just doing its reinforcement of the coastlines right now, and we've been helping a lot with the restoration of its rivers and so. But it's all going to come to a head. So I think all these great entrepreneurial ideas that become really big ideas that help us, that release us from the old ways of dependency of land that's not sustainable, I think is going to be a big part of the solution. You know, things like ecotourism. I mean, I'm excited to go to Tomo's Eco Lodge as well, because it's about not all these cities trying to chase after the same economic pillars as well, but celebrating what's unique about their unique place in the world. And I think that's going to create a lot of localized opportunity that keeps everybody competitive. And when everybody's competitive and households are doing well, then I think you're going to have less pressure for just the mass industrial land use that we have today.
Thank you for the insight. And on the tourism point, we have a question that's come in for Tomo. So Thank you, Wang Yuqi. I hope I haven't butchered your name there, but you've asked, in your opinion, are there any unexplored modes or untapped avenues for us to travel in a more sustainable way?
Very interesting. Should I answer that now, or should
Yes,
I
please.
answer the question?
You
that
can
you asked
combine.
earlier?
I think you can
Combine,
combine.
right?
So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sylvester, we definitely look forward to having you visit us in Bali and stay with us at Mana. And Blair, I actually wanted to would love to continue the jackfruit conversation anytime, because we serve this jackfruit dish at our restaurant called jackfruit rendang, which is the most popular dish. And even meat lovers love the dish, because, as you said, the texture of the jackfruit is so meaty, right? And yet it's so good. So yeah. In terms of kind of next 30 to 50 years, I mean, if COVID has made us realize anything, I mean, two things for me. One is about humility, and then the other one's about this pace of life. And for us at Earth Company, we often use this quote by the Native Americans saying, "We don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children." And I think that kind of perspective is really necessary right now if we want to save our future, save this world. And I think we have much of the economic development in the last 50 years, 100 years, is really based on arrogance that humankind can really control nature and control the world. And I think there's a turning point to think that we really need to be much more humble about our place in this world. And also that goes for the pace of life. I think the pace of life that we had pre-COVID was probably very unsustainable in many levels, right? And for us as people traveling and going at life at that speed I just don't think it was good for our well-being either. And same goes for the planet. I just don't think that kind of economic productivity and activity is good for anyone. So I think those are probably kind of fundamental shifts that are happening right now and been accelerated by COVID, and they need to be accelerated even more in the next couple of decades if we really want to survive as a species, I think. Yeah. If I were answering the question about unexplored modes, untapped avenues for us to travel in a more sustainable manner, and I think one thing that is happening in the tourism industry is really, for people to look into domestic options, right? And I think a lot of us thought we have to travel all the way around the world to reach the hidden gems. And I think we, since we're in lockdown, since international travel is much harder, I think we're rediscovering domestic travel, whether that be on trains or buses, and to taking boats. And I think it's really that balance, between seeing and exploring locally, as well as going abroad when and if the situation allows. So yeah, that would be my response. Thank you.
You know what I've seen,
Great.
Tomo, a lot are these big cycling trips now.
Oh yeah, in Bali too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about Philippines, Indonesia, these islands, and it's always about, oh, how do you fly? But there's so much to discover locally. And
For sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally.
I think it's going to be very more creative ways of traveling. And, during times of crisis is when we normally see the most exciting innovation. When there was a lost crisis in 2008, that's when Uber came out, and a lot of other innovations like Airbnb really blew up. And I think now it'll be interesting to see what's going to come in the next 2 to 3 years. And I'm sure you guys are all going to be on the pulse of that. So Blair, I would love to also get your views on what you see in the next 30 to 50 years. And we'll also combine your answer with the question as well from Wang, who asked, are there any R&D into creating Southeast Asian products that suit the Singapore taste buds? So you can give us a 2-part answer, would be great. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. So 30 to 50 years, I'm ever the optimist. So I'm hoping in 30 to 50 years, all the amazing people that are working on great innovations, from food tech to renewable energy, et cetera, will enable us to thrive and survive as a planet and reverse or at least maybe not reverse, but at least stop any further detrimental effects of climate change. But it does require collective effort, and so I really hope that people continue to make individual choices as well as governments regulating and putting in place ecosystems that will enable sustainable development, much like Singapore is starting to do, and I hope they do more of. So for me, I hope that in 30 to 50 years, meat will be a thing of the past. We'll be able to travel sustainably through hyperloops that are powered by renewable energy, or hydrogen-powered planes, or all kinds of things. But yeah, I'm ever the optimist of the human spirit and our innovation and ingenuity. So that's my view to the future. As to creating Southeast Asian products, absolutely. I mean, we as a company, will be launching retail products in the next couple of months that are, will be ready to cook products. So we're starting with dumplings and baos. And some of our bao flavors will very much be kind of Singaporean flavored. And I think, as we look to the future, there's lots of different things we can do. And I mean, our product as a meat itself works in a range of cuisines. And we, in terms of the restaurants we work with, we have Peranakan, Thai, Chinese, French, Mexican. So yeah, I mean, it works in a lot of Southeast Asian dishes.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. So we're running out of time for our panel, but I would like each of you to share one very short and succinct action that you think or advice you would give to the future leaders for them to help them to imagine a sustainable future. So Sylvester, you can kick us off with a short, punchy piece of advice.
Well, that's a good one. There's so many things. I know there's great ideas everywhere. I think in Asia, we don't have the advantage of some of the other regions, and a lot of environmental regulation and things driving change. So be the change and be unpredictable. I think that's what cities are so great at, is getting serendipity happening because everyone's bumping into each other. So look forward to your cool ideas.
Be unpredictable. I love that a lot. Tomo?
I don't have a great pithy statement like that, but I think walking the talk, I think is integrity. I think is the most important thing, especially when you want to become an ambassador, you become a messenger or some things. Like I think the cheapest thing to do is just talk and not do it yourself, and it just doesn't give you credibility. So make sure you walk the talk, practice what you preach. Yeah.
Absolutely. Lead by example. Very, very important. Integrity is a critical value that we need more of in the world. Blair?
I love both of what Sylvester and Tomo said, but I guess building on Tomo, I would say in terms of walking the walk, find your passion and go after it. It took me sort of 8 years of corporate life and before I took the plunge into doing something that was addressing sustainability and environment, and I've never been happier. And so, because I'm doing something that I'm passionate and care about, so I would definitely recommend following your passion and walking the walk.
Absolutely. And timing is always good as well. When you feel ready and you're excited about something that you can't stop thinking about, that's a great time to start exploring and to follow what lights you up. So thank you to each of our wonderful panelists. If you guys watching have any further questions, pop them in the chat. I'm sure these guys will stick around for a little while. They'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. So thank you to the team for having us tonight, and we'll hand it back over to you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you to Blair, Sylvester, Tomohiro, and Stephanie for the exciting plenary session. I'm sure all of us have learned much from it, especially about opportunities for growth. Through this session, it's obvious that there are many industries and solutions that can be geared towards sustainability, and I hope that encourages our participants to think more about the ways in which they too can embed sustainability into their lives and their work. In particular, some of the questions we have received from the audience also paved the way for some enriching opinions from our panelists. Now, it's time for our second polling session. So we will now have 2 questions related to our fireside chat. So please answer the questions as they appear on the screen. So we have received the results, and as you can see, an overwhelming majority of people would be interested in visiting Eco Hotel and have a lot of positivity when it comes to plant-based food. And that honestly makes me feel very optimistic towards the future, in the sense that people are very interested in sustainability and for all of this new technology and innovative ideas. So hopefully all of this does become a norm in the future. So now we'll be moving on to our second fireside chat, and I'd like to invite the following panelists to get ready for the session. So firstly, we have Janet Neo. She is a board director at Temasek Foundation Ecosperity, and she directs funds to game-changing sustainability solutions. She founded We Got This to help youth leaders supercharge their sustainability aspirations. By day, Janet is the Vice President of Corporate Sustainability at Lazada Group. Joining her is Brijesh Shah and Sheikh Sulaiman. Students from NTU have respectively won the Most Investable Solution and Most Innovative Solution along with their teams at our recently concluded SDG Open Hack Singapore. Brijesh is an electrical and electronics engineering major who does his part for sustainability awareness by ensuring that the environmental impact of decisions are taken into account into the various clubs that he is in. Sulaiman majors in civil engineering and has always been passionate with the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. This fireside chat will be moderated by Ridhima Gupta, an economics major at NUS and president of the NUS Social Impact Catalyst. NUS SIC is a student-led incubator that champions social entrepreneurship among youths. I would now like to invite Ridhima to start moderating this plenary session.
Thank you so much, Sadia. Since I'm so excited to hear what our panelists have to say, without further ado, I think we should dive right into our questions. Okay, so there are so many young people out there like me who want to contribute but don't know what to do, where to start. I think this is where Ms. Janet and We Got This comes in. So Ms. Janet, what motivated you to start We Got This?
Right. Hi. Well, I'm so glad to be here today. Well, it's not that different, like about like why I really particularly have a reason to start this movement, a community movement. It's actually just a lot of reflections of my journey, and I just been receiving a lot more questions from younger people and people who have went ahead from me of me, and then asking me how do I end up having a career in sustainability for 15 years when this word didn't quite exist back then. And I just thought about it, and I think, it's just because I believe that like your life matter, my life matters, and my voice, and people have helped me learn that my voice matters, and people want to hear like what I have thought about and what I have what I want to do and what I want to try, And this is what I also believe in the young people like yourself today. I mean, I see that you're in the social impact catalyst in NUS. And then the two winners from the SG Open Hack competition, you have ideas because you have observed what's going on. You feel the urge that you want to do something because you see a gap. You see how things can be better, and you deserve to go for it. Like this is what being young and bringing the prime of your youth is about, And We Got This is about that. We want to help people find friends who are like-minded. I met Stephanie 4 years ago, not on Instagram. We actually met at UWC because we were waiting for taxis. And we started talking, about, and we realized that we were both into sustainability. And at that time, she just started Green is the New Black. But today, Green is the New Black has been like a real game changer in sustainability media, and it was just an idea that she had. And she was quite mad about what she has witnessed in the fashion industry that she worked in. For me, the moment for me was in 2007. I was still an undergrad, and I had a chance to be in a few operations in New Orleans. And at that time, America, I think even up to now, it was the worst hurricane that hit New Orleans, called the Hurricane Katrina. It was 1 year after, and me being a Singaporean, not knowing what is natural disaster, being there it kind of hit my face that how could a whole city be ruined by this kind of environmental disasters, and what is social injustice, because the Black community, they live in a coastal area because they didn't really have money. So that was like the areas where rental houses were. And even a year later, people were still homeless. They were living in like the RVs. And it got me really thinking as an economic undergrad that it's not just about economic development. Community development goes hand in hand with what's going on in our environment, about people. And the idea that I just had that I want to make the world a better place. If people call me idealistic, that's fine. I think that's just what I believe in. And I went for it. So today I'm here to share about We Got This with all of you, that after, like if you think about how you could amplify your voice and how you could find friends who can support you along the way, come join this community. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So speaking of youth, I think we can move on to Brijesh and Suleiman. So can you tell us more about your award-winning sustainable ventures? I think we can start with Brijesh.
All right. Firstly, I would just like to thank the organizers for this opportunity to be here. I think it's a great initiative, and I'm really grateful to be here. So let me just start about my solution and what my team did. So during the hackathon, we were all given like 5 sustainable development goals called SDGs to choose from and to develop and come up with a solution. So our group, we decided to tackle SDG 13, which tackles climate action. So our solution, Optimize, is a one-stop solution. Our aim is to help our target group, which are non-residential building managers, to achieve their dream of reaching carbon neutrality. To simulate this transition for this seemingly daunting process, we believe that technological innovations and building operations need to be intertwined to achieve SDG 13. So we have identified 4 key barriers. Firstly, lack of access to information, like say what kind of technologies are out there. Secondly, timely reaction to policies, say for example, government subsidies, government grants. And then thirdly, access to affordable tech consultants. And lastly, the inefficiency in planning and implementation. Because like right now, if you try and find a solution for such a thing, consultancy and software products are separated. So taking this into account, we have come up with a one-stop solution, which is centered around our AI IoT cloud platform, which integrates technology with consultancy. To do that, we work with building managers to customize an emission reduction framework by considering the unique operation, assets, and financial tools that they can leverage on. Complementing the operational plan, our AI IoT cloud platform monitors, controls, and optimizes these energy assets, giving real-time feedback. So Optimize offers a unique value of combined consultancy, thus customizing to the user's assets and needs. And moreover, our optimized clean tech products can be deployed to various customers without major changes. So through our solution, you can save both your time and your money while achieving a high quality service and satisfaction. So yeah, thank you. That was our solution that we came up with through the 24-hour hackathon.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's incredible how you could come up with all of this in 24 hours. Okay, I think we can hear from Suleiman now.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sheikh Sulaiman and I'm from NTU and I'm just entering year 2 this coming August. And so similar to Brajesh, I would like to thank the organizers for putting this event together, and it's a great honor to be on such a panelist. And so me and 3 of my teammates, we've known each other since secondary school, and this is actually the first competition hackathon that we entered. And so our idea is basically a smart panel. It's named Smart Panel, which aims to increase our energy generation by improving current solar panels. So, so currently there are 2 types of solar panels. The first one is static solar panels, which are widely used and much more widely used in Singapore. As you can see, the floating solar farm that recently is being opened. So, and also, static solar panels do not maximize power generation. Why? Because they are unable to capture maximum amount of solar irradiance due to the varying movement of the sun. So since it's static and will not be able to move, and whereas the sun will be moving continuously throughout the day, we would not have that normal angle to achieve maximum solar power. And so similarly, the 24/7 tracking solar panels are also available in the market, but they are much more expensive firstly, and they are inefficient because of its high power consumption while operating under undesirable weather condition. So what are these undesirable weather conditions? This includes heavy rainfall, high cloud cover, and thunderstorm. So whereby the amount of power generated is underweighs the power consumption of the tracking system. And so by focusing on these drawbacks, Smart Panel capitalizes on this opportunity by introducing an intermittent smart tracking device in which Smart Panel would only track the sun movement under the most optimal conditions. And so by doing this, we would be getting the best from both worlds, basically. Yeah, so that is our idea. So for what I think is that it doesn't have to be a groundbreaking innovation. We can just try to minimize the limitations in current solutions. That's what we are trying to get at. Thank you.
Okay, that's awesome. So, okay, so I mean, there are so many hackathons and places out there where you can go on and participate. So Brijesh and Suleiman, this is again to you. Why do you think more students should come forward and participate in such hackathons?
All right, I think I'll go first. So I think as students, especially coming up in this 21st century, where we are way more aware of what's happening in the world and like in terms of the environment, etc. And as well as like there's both the positive as well as the negative. And like when we see such things, a lot of times, especially when there are more negatives or like on a large scale, like say, for example, right now, like the Amazon forest, there's a lot of deforestation going on and it's considered the lungs of our planet. So when you see such things, you're bound to lose hope and you're like, oh, what can I do? I'm just one person, is there anyone out there who wants to make a difference and can do anything about this? So I think personally, like speaking for myself and including like my teammates who joined this, this was like, say, like a beacon of hope, or it helped us rekindle that hope within us that yes, okay, there are people out there who are ready to make an impact, and this is a fantastic platform and a base to start. And yeah, so I think that is one major factor which I would say, in the future for students that like jump on such an opportunity which can connect you with like-minded people. And you guys, like how so actually in my team, we're all strangers, and even for a lot of other teams, they're like, we didn't know each other before this, but now through this interaction, we have come to know each other, and hopefully we can achieve something in the future. So take this opportunity, and you can make a difference. Everyone has a part to play in this world. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Suleiman?
Okay, so I'm told by my friends that I'm speaking a bit too fast, so I'll try to slow down a bit. Okay, so one thing that this hackathon made me realize is that there are tons more problems out there that are awaiting solutions, and it is up to us to solve them. The new generation, the youth, and one other thing is that this hackathon has made me bolder and put myself out there more, in a sense that my groups of friends are participating in another ideathon soon. So, and before this hackathon, we have never taken the initiative to participate in any other competitions by ourselves. But since we have a taste for it, we figure why not go for another one. So, as I have said, we are the future of tomorrow, and we need to come forward to put ourselves, our loved one, and our community in a better and innovative world. So if not us, who else, right? And we shouldn't have that mindset in which we are only an individual, we are only one. And so how much impact could I possibly make? But instead, we should have a mindset that if every one of us have a mindset in which I personally can make a small difference, collectively it would be a much more significant impact being made. So yeah, we have to shift our mindset, but it will take time basically. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so coming back to Ms. Janet, right? You're obviously an expert on corporate sustainability. And I think the last time we spoke, you mentioned how sustainability is something you've studied about, you've been interested in for a very long time. And then almost overnight, people went from not knowing anything about it to just talking about it. So what, according to your opinions, why companies are taking it much more seriously now than they were doing so before?
That's a very good question. The theme of 2021 is sustainability everywhere. Every day you see a new news about it. People are proponents of it. And this change is company doing this for profit? Is company doing this because the government is pushing them to do it? Why, right? It's all of these reasons. It is also it's compliance, it's about differentiation, it's about getting ahead, it's also about making profits, and it's also about doing good and doing better. So why did this change really came about? Actually, I think before 2008, the scholars or the professors, researchers back in Harvard Business School, they have a team that studies trying to do the correlations between companies that work on sustainability, like environment, social kind of issues. And they try to do the correlations with financial performance, but they couldn't find any link. But in the last 10 years, they start to see that positive correlation. Why? Because the one thing that changed was that companies started to focus on this thing called materiality. If you study accounting, this keyword materiality, it's very key. It just means that what do you prioritize in terms of the issues that the company faces, and broaden the aspect of risk and opportunity, and broaden the view from just the core business activity, which is what you sell to make money, to looking at the business from why does it exist, where does it exist, and who does it impact along the entire value chain. So when companies, for example, I used to start off my career in Heineken. So a company who is brewer and they make beer, right? So a lot of times people think, oh, it's the company's responsibility to they sell beer, so they harm people because of alcohol harm. Young people are drinking way too much. People are dying on the roads because they drink and drive. But actually, when the company started really looking into the issues, what they are taking out from the environment, which is water. 95% of the beer is water, right? So they started investing in water replenishing projects. They look at measuring with UN, a partnership. We had to measure out where are the water stress areas globally and mapping it across where we have operations and what we could do. So little do people know that when companies do that, they're actually protecting, not just protecting the value of what the company is already doing, but they also help the locals. Because when we start working on water replenishing projects, it helps the locals to also have access to like cleaner water, the supply of fresh water supply. It ensures that for the local communities as well. So inevitably, the company, the community do better. They have better health. The workers are also like healthier. The business do better. And they start to be able to track this kind of financial data. And today we do have better data, we have better technology, and we are able to do better correlations on that. Yeah, so do check out. I'll send you some links on that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I think there's a question on the chat here that's very related to what you were talking about. So how to know that the market is ready for such a sustainable idea? So whether it's a small change or whether it's a radical change, like a new innovation or a new technology, how do you know that the market is receptive to sustainability?
That's it brings us back to economics. I remember you told me like you're an economics major, right, in NUS. So was I back then. And I always tell people, right, like when they talk about sustainability, it's very easy to get into a stereotype where, oh, people think that, hey, you're the tree hugger, you're doing good, you have the best job. All you think about is how to help people and how to help the environment. And I tell people, no, if there's no business, there's no company, and there won't be me doing anything. So business has to come first, right? And you talk about how do you know if your idea is going to make it big in the market and will it be receptive by the market? So first, it has to go from the economic principles that are you providing a solution that meets a need for a paying customer? Who are you helping, right? And then there's a value that a business creates from that, right? So for example, Grab disrupted the market because they could see that people needed to travel, but the cost of maybe owning a car is very high. The expenses of maintaining car is very high. But if people would be able to share, they can lower the costs. They can maybe do carpool, car sharing. And a secondary effect of it is that it reduces from carpooling, right? You can reduce the distance travel, and you can reduce the fuel used, and then it causes a lower environmental impact from there. One of the examples I'll give you, it's at Temasek Foundation, we channel a lot of funds into helping startups cross the chasm, hoping that after they develop the prototype, helping them to test the market, and then hoping that if they test the right market, the route to market, they will be able to take off. So one of the first companies that we invested in is we should be very proud of, it's a Singaporean company. It's in bioplastics. The world's first bioplastic came from the engineers that invented this from a Singaporean who partnered with a American university research lab to do it. And for them, how did they test it? So they started with a prototype, and then we asked them, could you find 10 customers? If you succeed in doing this, will you get 10 people or 10 companies who want to buy this biodegradable straws for a small batch and test it? So that was the hurdle that they were able to cross. They were able to find the first 10 customers. And today, they have went on to receive like Series A, Series funding. I think their valuation a year ago was more than 900 million. And right now, their customer list is like, there are more customers wanting to buy from them than what they can produce and supply. Yeah, but what is the need that they saw? They saw the need that first, plastic is bad. Technology-wise, there's really no plastics that can fully biodegrade by itself, because it goes into microplastics, go into the ocean stream, there's still problems there, right? So they saw a need that technology and research could provide. And the third thing that they were able to see is that this market is very big, because the EU started out a ban on single-use plastics a few years back. And what does that mean? Every single FMCG, every single company out there that is using single-use plastic will need to find an alternative by 2025 to 2030. So the whole world needs this. So this is how you test your market and see whether is the problem that you're solving so big that it scares you and people are queuing up for it. That would be your signal. Yeah. Like people queuing up for BTS, right? McDonald's. If you find that, you know that's a sure sign.
Okay, I think speaking of very innovative and big solutions, I think there's an interesting question for Brajesh and Suleiman. So do you guys have any plans to actually implement your solution or go through it and find a new venture? Brajesh?
Right, so for my team, we are actually working together with GGEF, and we are in like the incubation stage. So we are just like refining our solution right now, and we are working to bring it forward. So let's see what the future holds for us. But of course, we hope to make an impact.
Awesome, looking forward to that. Suleiman?
Yeah, so given that we won the most innovative solution, right? We were given a platform and opportunity to present our idea to the World City Summit. So and from there, we presented our idea, and we got actually two. One is a venture capitalist who reached out to us, and we gave them our email, and we are going to await their response. And the other one is a mechanic from UAE. So yeah, but I'm not that optimistic from the UAE one, so because we are just still students, and so right now we are awaiting the green light from CDL to conduct our pilot testing. But before we can go on to pilot testing, we still have to do much more research on the implementation process of our smart panel. basically the joints, whether it's a ball joint and such. So yeah, as long as we make a impact, a small impact. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that's great. So as much as interesting this discussion has been, I think we're running out of time. So I think we can end with just one final question. What do you think is the key learning point about social or environmental sustainability that the audience should take away from this? Just like a quick lesson. Ms. Janet?
Advocate, 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 advocate. It's like before the market can be created or the product is made, right? People don't really know what they need and how it solves the problem. Before there was the iPhone, nobody could describe that. Before there was a car, people didn't know that they need a car. And there was a lot of advocacy required for that. And so I would say, come join We Got This, where we really gonna invest in grooming young people like the winners here, right? That how do you advocate for your startup idea, advocate for the solutions that you want to bring to the world? Yeah.
That's awesome. Brajesh?
Yeah, so like as Suleiman mentioned just now in his answer, that it shouldn't just be like we need to make sure that each of us also have an impact, and we shouldn't think that one person has no contribution. So I feel like each of us can just start small, just one thing, like simple things like what we have learned in school. Turn off the light if you're not using it. If you don't need to use the AC, the air conditioning, turn on the fan. Like try and find the more sustainable option. And I think it is even through the small practices that can lead up to a big impact. Yeah. Thanks.
I think starting small, I think that's like the first step, somewhere to start, and then you can move on to bigger things. Suleiman?
Okay, so to simply put it is for us to be more conscious of our carbon footprint. For example, monitor our monthly electricity usage, consume less carbon food like poultry. Maybe we can start going vegan and reduce waste, including electronic, textile, food, and plastic. And so social and environmental sustainability is a large-scale global effort, and it will not happen overnight. So it will require lots of effort from different departments to change the way we live our lives. But social and environmental sustainability is not something we can just overlook and ignore. Thank you.
Yeah, I think those are the best suggestions that we can have, starting small, advocating what we believe in, just looking at our carbon footprint and being conscious. So I think on that note, thank you so much to the panelists for sharing what they have. And thank you so much to GGF for having us. I think over to Sadia.
Thank you. So thank you to Jeanette, Brajesh, Sulaiman, and Ridhima for their thoughts and opinions on this topic. Personally, this session filled me with a lot of hope for the future, considering that there are people like our panelists who take the time out to think about what part they can play for this planet. So once again, we are going to do another polling session. So we are always interested in organizing events that will allow us to reach out to youth and involve them in sustainability. So let us know about your opinion regarding these events. So it is heartening to know that a lot of people who are attending this session would participate in the next SDG Open Hack and also participate in We Got This. So I do believe that these two programs are actually very useful for youth in terms of learning a lot about their own habits as well as what they can do for this planet. in terms of like technology and innovation, or even advocacy in terms of we got this. So other than that, now I'll be passing time to Christina for her closing remarks on this webinar. So thank you so much for staying with us and for tuning into this webinar. Over to you, Christina. Oh, yes. I just wanted to also thank Sulaiman for taking the time out to attend this webinar on his birthday. So it was very nice of him to take such a special day and spend it on educating and bringing his knowledge to the table for everyone here. Yes. Now over to you, Christina.
Okay, thank you so much, Sadia. Thank you so much for all the speakers and panelists. Thank you so much for spending the evening with us. I just want to say happy birthday to Sulaiman for joining us tonight. I know it's your birthday, but you are here to share your innovative idea with us. Really appreciate it. I hope you all would get inspired and also feel hope. I don't know about you, but I definitely feel hope every time when I'm listening to the practitioners who are walking the talk in the field. And also we have all these young innovators and game changers stepping up to make change to build a sustainable future together with us. So I really appreciate it. And GGF, we're here to empower through various programs, including the SDG Open Hack, and also our upcoming SDG training program. Stay tuned. And also we always work with our partners, because we don't believe that there's only one organization or one government can solve all the problems that we are facing now. But rather than focusing on the problem, we are focusing on the solutions and partnership. Through partnership with all our partners, including CDL, Green is the New Black, We Got It, Friends of the Earth Hong Kong, and many other organizations out there, we're creating a big ecosystem here where we have not only the solutions, but we also have impact investors who are putting their resources to helping the projects that come up with innovative solutions. So thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar, and hopefully we'll be able to host hybrid event or maybe physical event in the near future. Stay tuned and stay well. Thank you.